Ready for!
Ja Rule, hip-hop artist of Murder Inc., known for rap songs such as Live It Up, The Rain, and Put It On Me. Ja Rule is headed for an historic meeting that will hopefully end the beef with him and Interscope hip-hop artist 50 Cent, a beef between the two that's been brewing for over a year. This first meeting of Ja Rule will take place at the home of Minister Louis Farrakhan, leader of the Nation of Islam. Minister Farrakhan, best known as the author of the Million Man March. Will this meeting of a 27-year-old rapper and a 70-year-old charismatic religious leader end this beef? Let's witness this historic meeting as Ja Rule seeks out the counsel of a man he believes to be the peacemaker.
We cannot sit down. We cannot lay down.
Yes, sir.
We must get up
Yes, sir.
and go to work.
This is one of the strongest national preachers that I have in the bounds of North America. Everywhere you hear him, listen to him. Everywhere you see him, look at him. Everywhere he advised you to go, go. Everywhere he advised you to stay from, stay from. So we are thankful to Allah for this great helper of mine, Minister Farrakhan. And I say continue to hear our Minister Farrakhan. I thank you.
We live in the most dangerous time since there's been a time and a people on our planet. We need right guidance to get us through these times. We need to know the truth. And Final Call Incorporated is the storehouse of truth. From lectures by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to books by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Final Call Incorporated provides you with guidance and insight into these troubled times. Look in the Final Call newspaper or visit us at store.finalcall.com to see our complete selection of tapes, CDs, DVDs, and books by a wide array of authors. Final Call Incorporated, the storehouse of truth.
Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Thank you. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is but one God, creator of all things, revealer of all truth, sender of all prophets. To him alone do I submit and seek refuge. As a Muslim, I thank Allah for Moses and the Torah. And as a Muslim, I believe in Allah and the Torah, and Moses and the Torah. As a Muslim, I thank Allah for Jesus and the Injil, or the Gospel. And as a Muslim, I believe in Jesus and the Gospel. I thank Allah for Muhammad ibn Abdullah and the Holy Quran. And as a Muslim, I believe in Muhammad and the Holy Quran. But if I lived to be an old man, I could never thank God enough for raising up in our midst one who has made the Torah, the Gospel, and the Quran relevant books for the oppressed black people of America and the oppressed peoples of the world. The man who taught me what I know, and the man who gave me the example of the person I'm hoping to become, and that is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. In their names, I greet all of you with the greeting words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum, and this means, of course, peace be unto you. To our distinguished dais hosts, I can't say you're a guest in your own cities, but I certainly am honored to have so many magnificent workers and strugglers in the cause of the liberation of our people. From the NAACP, from the Rainbow Coalition, ministers of the gospel, I am honored by your presence. And to you, my brothers and sisters of Louisville, I have never been in the city of Louisville in my life, and this is my first visit, and that's a shame. Such a great city that has produced so many wonderful men and women, included among them our own wonderful brother Muhammad Ali, and yet I've not had the privilege of being in this great city. And if any of the Ali family is present, and whether he's present or not, our love for Muhammad Ali is very great, and our gratitude to Allah for him is very great. Because he's a man that gave us much joy, and he's a man that gave us much hope, because he not only fought in the ring, he fought for us as a people. And of course, now that he is not fighting anymore, I want Muhammad Ali to know that as a human being, he yet is reaching greater and greater heights. And our prayer is that Almighty God, Allah, will heal him from whatever affliction it is that he's afflicted with. And our prayer is that he will spend the latter days of his life continuing in service to Allah and in service to his people and to the human family of our planet. To you, my brothers and sisters of Louisville, I'm so happy to be here, although I got some bad news when I got off the plane, that our brothers were on the campus last night selling tickets to this event. And in one of the dormitories, as I'm told, some of the fraternity brothers got into a scrap or fight with some of the football players. And from what I understand, the fight came out into the street, and some of our brothers were on the campus, and we're peacemakers. That's our role. That's right, sir. And the brothers stopped their brothers from fighting each other. We don't like to see we don't like to see our people at each other's throats. Unfortunately, I would imagine that the campus police didn't feel that they could handle it, and they called the city police. But by the time the city police had gotten there, the students had dispersed, the fracas had stopped, but the city police proceeded to attack the brothers that they saw with the bow ties. And nothing that the brothers could say to them could make them to know that we were not involved in any fracas. So they proceeded to push and shove and beat some of the brothers. Louisville, we want you to know, and the mayor and the chief of police and all of you to know, that we are a people of peace. Our whole demeanor is that of peace. We try to live in peace with you. You will never find us being the aggressor, because our teachings from the Quran teach us that God loves not the aggressor. And he forbids us to be the aggressor, either in word or in deed. However, when we are being peaceful and pursuing peace, and we are not disrespectful of law and authority, because again, both the Bible and the Quran teach the righteous to respect those in authority over us. Whether they are of our religion or faith or not, authority is to be respected and obeyed, as long as authority does not teach you or guide you against the principles of religion that is from God. And that is our way. But if the authority becomes lawless, if the authority now wants to attack peaceful people because our presence is either not wanted or not liked in Louisville, then the Quran commands us to fight with those who fight with us. We can't just lay down and let people beat us up. We have to fight like hell with those who fight against us. And I say this to all black people, all human beings. All we have is the life that God gave us. And if we are in a righteous pursuit, bothering no one, and we are attacked, then we must fight with those who fight with us. And if we lose our lives, it is better to die fighting than to die laying down pleading with a merciless beast for mercy. Now, I'm saying this because I want America to know that we, the Muslims, and our Christian brothers and sisters, we are tired of the lawlessness in our own community. We are tired of the disorder in our own community. We are tired of the killing and the maiming that is going on in our own community. We don't like it when our own hands do it, and we certainly don't like it when the hands of our enemies do it. We don't like it. We are tired of police brutality. You have a difficult job to do as police. We appreciate that because we work in the community with our own people. We know how difficult it is. But that is not an excuse to murder our people in cold blood because you have the authority to carry a weapon and we don't have the authority. You have the authority to carry a nightstick. We don't have such. You are trained to shoot, and we are not trained at all. But to shoot us down in cold blood, and then another jury of Caucasian people call it justifiable homicide when we know and you know that it's murder in the first degree. How long can any lover of his people not command his people to fight with those authorities even? We have nothing to lose but our chains. We're tired of burying our dead, grieving mothers, and you all go on with business as usual. Must we become animals? Is it only that violence is respected? Peace is not respected? Peaceful people are not respected? But the only time we get respect is when we become violent with those who are violent with us. Is this what America wants? Listen. You wanted black people to be nonviolent when Dr. King was leading us, nonviolent in the face of white violence against us. You applauded nonviolence. You said it was the right philosophy for us. But you have never adopted nonviolence from the time of the American Revolution to the Gulf in Saudi Arabia today. You have never adopted nonviolence. You are now justifying violence. But when we are violent, this is terrible. But when you are violent, it is all right. There is a power in the world today that will end your violence. And that's the power that I represent.
Right. Eat, Brother Minister.
I want to talk to you tonight. America is in serious trouble, and so are we.
Listen.
The subject on the marquee is titled "Stop the Killing."
Listen.
Why should a man have to come and even use such a subject? All over the United States of America, Brother Farrakhan has been preaching for 15 months.
That's right.
Stop the killing.
That's right.
This is in response to an unprecedented wave of crime and violence in the black community. We are becoming our own worst enemies. Our communities are degenerating in spite of the fact that we have churches on every corner, preachers and teachers of every denomination, every religion. But as a people, moral values are diminishing among us. And death stalks our communities. In the recent war in Vietnam, 55,000 American lives were lost. Approximately 35% of those that died in Vietnam were members of the black community. So nearly 20,000 black men lost their lives in the Vietnam War over a 9-year period. But in America, the land of the free, the home of the brave, a so-called Christian country, a human being is murdered once every 24 minutes. So by December the 31st this year, 24,000 Americans will have lost their lives through murder. And 55% of that number will be black people, mainly black young men. And 96% of every one of us murdered will have been murdered by one of our own people. So that by this year's end, nearly 13,000 young black people will have lost their lives. And in 2 years' time, we will have lost more black people in the inner cities of America than in 9 years of actual war in Vietnam. What does this say? It is safer for a black mother to rear her children in Vietnam during actual war than it is for a mother to rear her children in the inner cities of America. What is happening to us, brothers and sisters? Rape is on the increase. Assault among us. Child abuse on the increase among us. The slaying of the elderly by the young on the increase among us. This never happened during our darkest days and nights of slavery. We never treated one another like we're doing today. What's wrong? According to some recent statistics that I read, a white woman has one chance in 606 of leaving this world by means of murder. A white man has one chance in 186. A black woman has one chance in 126 of leaving this world by means of murder. But a black man has one chance in 21 of leaving this world by means of murder. So every mother that has a son should be nervous about the future of her boys, because the black male is under assault in America. If 24% of all young black men are either in prison on parole or under court supervision, this is not accidental. The infant mortality rate in the black community is worse in some cities than it is in the poorest nation on earth, in Bangladesh. The poverty of black people is so appalling that we are dying of liver disease, kidney disease, lung disease, cancer more than whites, accidents more than whites, AIDS more than whites. Our community is under siege. And brothers and sisters, I did not come to Louisville to stir the natives to riot and violence, if you pardon that expression. I came to stir our consciousness that when I leave Louisville, you who live in Louisville will rise up to do what you can do to solve the problems of yourselves and our people. The subject is stop the killing. How deep does that subject go? What is the abortion rate? Stop the killing. Do you know how many beautiful potential new lives are being destroyed through abortion? Sisters, don't hold your heads down, because I'm not trying to put any woman, black or white, on a guilt trip. That's not the intention. You have the right of choice. But to say, I got the right to choose what I'm going to do with my body, you do. But that right of choice or election or selection should be based upon some degree of knowledge of what you're choosing.
Come on, brother. Sir. All right.
First of all, since you didn't give yourself that body, it was a gift to you, then you ought to consult the giver as to how he wants you to use what he gave you. Since you didn't give yourself life, you ought to consult the giver of life as to how what he gave you should be lived. Then choose according to the criterion not laid down by feminist movement, but laid down by God, what you should do. I want you to listen to me good. There are always trying circumstances in life. A man went in to rob a bank. He had a mask on. He grew up in the community, but he needed some money. He didn't want to work. He said he couldn't find a job, so he put on a ski mask and got a pistol and went into the bank. He asked for the money, and the woman went to give him the money. She thought she recognized him. And somehow or another, she called his name. And because he knew she recognized him, he squeezed the trigger and killed her because she was the circumstance that could put him in prison. He was found and tried. And he's doing time. He didn't want to be caught, so he killed that which would have put him in a bad circumstance. What's the difference between the bank robber and the young girl who, in a sexual moment of passion, listen to me, spreads her knees and becomes pregnant, but she don't want nobody to know she's been a little victimized by nature.
Come on, brother man.
So in order to hide her sin from her mother, her father, her friends, and ruin her potential career or life, she decides to lay down and kill the life and hide the crime. She had the right of choice. But oftentimes when we choose to make it easier for ourselves, and we justify it by saying, I was ill prepared. I was very young, or I had my career and I was getting along so fine. I was up for promotion, and a baby would have interfered with that. I was just about to graduate, you know. I had worked so hard to get my degree, and I just got pregnant. Just one of those things, but I can't let that get in my way. So we murder on the front end. In a sterile office of a doctor, protected by the law of the land. And then we condemn the young man who murders at 14, 15, and 16 on the back end. But our murder is protected on the front end. Yes, you got the right of choice. But you got the right to choose who you're gonna become attached to. Make it a good choice. You got the right to choose to be decent or indecent. You got the right to choose to be moral or immoral, but you do not have the right to choose to kill. Now that's because women are the co-creators with God. You're not little cheap things to be the plaything of any man.